few weeks before they then went to their permanent or their next companion. From there, I moved up to district leader, which you're kind of over 4 or 6 missionaries, and then zone leader. That time I graduated from a bike to a car and got to drive, even though it was on the other side of the road in Australia, so it was a little unusual. But I was a zone leader. I was over about 16 or 18 missionaries, and very, very committed to Mormonism at that point.
Now, you mentioned that some of the more difficult doctrines were kind of kept on the nice shelf for a while.
They are, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, is it the Mormons that had kind of this concept of holy deception? Where, in other words, you go out and you could tell somebody something you know wasn't exactly true, but you know you bring them closer, then you could correct it?
The term wasn't used, but we definitely did it. We were told, even in the mission home, where we kind of got a few days of training before we went to the mission field, is not to teach the deeper doctrines. One of the things we were always told is they need the milk before they get the meat. So, don't get into discussions about these issues. If they get into becoming a god or temple work or other unusual teachings, just kind of bear your testimony of what you've said already and move on. So yeah, we were definitely instructed not to go into those issues or to somehow evade them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But you didn't end up a Mormon, all right? So at some point you end up being drawn to Jesus.
Absolutely. It kind of started, although I didn't realize it was happening at that time, but it happened about the second year of my mission. As I said, I was baptized a Christian. And, as Catholics...
As a Mormon, did that baptism mean anything?
Well, when
baptism.
I became... Oh, no, I mean, I wasn't even aware of it, really, except my mother told me that I had been baptized.
Okay.
But, we believe that the sacraments impart grace. And I think that is definitely one of the reasons when I was on this mission that the Christians who shared with me, it did speak to my heart because of that baptism. The second year of my mission, we began to knock on an inordinate number of doors of what we missionaries called born-agains, or evangelical Christians. And these folks, instead of slamming the door in our face or just saying, no thanks, we already have our religion, they would invite us in. And before we got too far into our memorized spiel, they would just begin to share their love for Jesus. And they would pray often with us. And I was just amazed to see these families pray together. I was so naive at the time, I thought that was something that only Mormons did. But here were these, dedicated Christian families. Another event that happened that I think was key was we had baptized this Filipino family. And a couple of the young brothers were probably in their early 20s, and they were just so gung-ho. They were what we called golden converts, just really dedicated. And all of a sudden, they stopped attending church. We hadn't seen them for 3 or 4 weeks. So we called them and, set up a time to see if we could meet with them, and they said, sure, come on by. And when we got there, their priest was there. And they said, the priest said to us, these boys won't be attending your church anymore because they're Catholic Christians. And the priest said, do you mind me asking you what priesthood you have? And I said, yes, I have the Holy Melchizedek priesthood. And when a Mormon is ordained an elder, a Mormon man, he moves from what they call the Aaronic priesthood to the Melchizedek priesthood. And he said, well, let's read about the Melchizedek priesthood. And he opened the Bible to Hebrews chapter 7, where it talks about this priesthood of Christ belonging to someone who is without beginning of days or end of years. In other words, he's eternal. And he lives forever to intercede for us. Now, he said, who is that talking about? It was obvious that it was talking about Jesus Christ. And he said, this is the priesthood of Jesus Christ, and you claim to usurp or have this priesthood? Are you beginning of days and without end of years? Do you live forever to intercede on behalf of others? And I don't remember exactly what I said to him, but he did say, go home and read Hebrews chapter 7 through 12 in particular, which I did, and it gave me fits. And a lot of the scriptures that Christians would share, both Catholic and evangelical Christians, especially about who Jesus is, I would defend Mormonism by day, but be confused by night. I would even spend my day off. We got about from 9 to 5 on Monday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Monday to write letters, do our laundry, do our shopping, all of those things. That was the only really break we had. But I would spend much of that day writing letters to the Christians that we ran into to try and defend. And actually, I think I was trying to defend it to myself. And so, yeah, the witness of those Christians, the second year of my mission, was truly powerful. And to kind of top it off, for the very end of my mission, Billy Graham comes to Sydney, and it was the first time he'd been in Sydney for quite a number of years, and there was a lot of excitement, a lot of publicity about it, and we caught that excitement from the people that we knocked on the door, and I learned some more just elements of the Christian faith that were so important from just his visit to Australia.